What's up, guys? Shawn, Myszka, OptimizeMovement.com and Movement Mastery coming to you today with another quick tip. And today's quick tip involves the utilization and demonstration of a very simple drill that I like to utilize with my athletes, and that I would implore you to consider utilizing with your own as well. Now, I have seen numerous individuals utilize what I would refer to as a sit drill, but they don't do it nearly as often or as frequently to truly develop both the skill as well as the strength characteristics and capabilities to be able to actually get the bang for the buck out of the activity. Again, the activity that we're going to be talking about today, the drill that we're going to be talking about, is what I would refer to as a sit drill. And you can call it any other thing that you want to, but really it's about developing better positioning for deceleration as well as concurrently and simultaneously developing the strength characteristics. So we're getting skill, deceleration movement skill, and strength capabilities in the same drill and task, because we can modify this activity in numerous ways depending on the level of mastery of our athlete and the level of trainability, okay? We must remember that change of direction ability out here on the field or out on the court, that all depends on our ability to decelerate more effectively and efficiently, okay? We can never stop too fast, and that speed of that deceleration comes down to the position that we can hit and attain in our deceleration mechanics. Unfortunately, as I've talked about numerous times before, so many training practitioners and professionals neglect this skill and neglect the optimization of this skill in their athletes. They allow them just to essentially get by with whatever it is that they've done before. And oftentimes, they focus in on acceleration when they really need to be focusing in on deceleration. So stop more effectively and you're going to be able to take off more effectively, okay? Again, today's simple drill is about increasing technical mastery, but you're going to find that as technical mastery and movement skill goes up, so does the ability to utilize faster force absorption and deceleration, sport-specific positions, and then greater reutilization of that energy in the re-acceleration as well. Okay, I like to use this drill that I'm about to show you early in progressions before we ever move to change of direction oriented tasks and drills as well. Okay, we can use it early on as a simple task to develop change of direction oriented tasks afterwards. Okay, I also like to use it to maintain technical mastery once I've hit it with my level of athletes that are of higher qualifications, such as those in the National Football League, okay? What's cool about this is we can modify the tasks based on the movement skill that we see, as well as the level of trainability of that given athlete at that given time of the year with wherever he or she may be in levels of preparedness or in sport qualification periodization times, okay? So let me show you the drill, and then I'm going to talk about different ways that we can modify it based on that which our sport demands give us, okay? The sit drill, you can set up any number of cones. Now, of course, I'm taping this here, just you and I talking to the camera, so I have to make sure that I can't move the camera or the screenshot. So I have one cone here and one cone there, approximately 3.5 yards apart. These can be moved at any distance, guys and gals, okay? And we can put any number of cones here. I often will use anywhere from 4 to 6 once my athlete has attained a certain level of mastery. But right when he or she is first learning this movement, I really focus in on 2. So that's what I'm going to do here today. Okay? Again, it's not about the speed of the task, depending on the level of mastery, but when you first introduce this, it definitely is not. We're going to try to slow it down and utilize a sort of wax on, wax off type idea here to where we can really focus in on the movement mechanics at hand and try to develop mastery for that athlete. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a ways away here from the camera, but we can approach these cones at any given angle that we so desire, okay? I happen to change this quite frequently with my athletes, but you're really able to modify this depending on the demands of your task and dependent on the demands of your sport and your athlete, okay? All the athlete is going to do is simply sit at each cone, okay? And when I say sit, they could be doing that in either a 2-leg or a 1-leg variety. Of course, we could come in and sit. Again, you can bring in any acceleration that you want to, okay? And I'm just going to do it at a slow enough speed. So at this point, at the point of attack at the cone in deceleration, I'm going to stop in a parallel stance at this cone as well as at the next one, okay? So I'm just coming here and sitting, okay? And then I will reaccelerate and sit. And then I will do the same if I'd happen to have another cone right over where you guys are and the viewer is, okay? I'm going to do the same thing in a lunge now. So once we establish mastery in 2-leg, if our sport calls for it, we can do so in 1 as well. And again, you can change the distance of these cones depending on the demands of your task. So here I will come and sit. Coming back over and sitting. And you can see how at that point, as I set up these cones and change the demands of that which I'm asking of the athlete, it will start to progress into something much more like or similar to that which you probably have done yourself when you try to set up drills for your athletes. But if you allow them to slow it down and really focus in on the position that's being hit here and the position that's being maintained in between, as well as once they stop themselves, rather than always focusing in on that receleration, we will get more effective receleration once we hit the mastery. Okay, so once we attain mastery in stopping, we can then attain mastery in reacceleration. Okay, a couple things here that why I like this drill so very much, not only to develop mastery, but also to maintain technical movement skill, is because I can change so many different things here. The 2 main things that I can change right off the bat is the position that the athlete hits. Okay, again, you saw me do 2 different variations here today, 2 different deceleration stopping positions. Also, I will use the differences in speed into brake. Okay, so when I focus in on how fast the athlete is coming into this respective cone at each spot, I can increase speed or that athlete's intent depending on how much distance I want them to go over, or just the true intent that I tell them to bring from an intensity standpoint, okay? The other thing that we can change is not only with distances change, but the distance and height of one's center of gravity in between. So I can either stay in a low and coiled position from cone to cone. Let's just say that I came in and stopped in my lunge here, and I'm going back. Remember, I'm not necessarily focusing on reacceleration until that athlete develops mastery. But then I can keep a high position, okay? Or if I go back to this spot, and it's someone who I have to get them to develop a low coiled, loaded position in traffic in sport, such as maybe a rugby player, a football player, etc., okay? Or there's gonna be a skill that needs to be executed there, maybe a tennis athlete, I can have him or her maintain a lower center of gravity and stay coiled here, okay? So they can keep themselves in that low loaded coiled position for greater reacceleration or the ability to utilize a sport task here, okay? While you're doing that, in the actual deceleration stopping action, the plant action, you can also change their intent there. We can change stance, so if you saw me come at you here, I can change stance width, I can change base of support, okay, as far as how wide that athlete is hitting or maintaining in that stop plant position, where center of gravity and where joint angles are going to be hit, because base of support and changes in center of gravity rather are going to be our main factors at hand here when we look at deceleration positions. And remember, as we change each one of those, our stance is changing, our joint angles are changing, and the working regime of the muscle is also changing. So those important force characteristics based on length-tension relationships and force coupling are always being looked at or investigated as us as coaches and training professionals if we are to really optimize this position as well as optimize sport movement mastery. Because again, how that person stops is going to determine how well he or she reaccelerates in sport, okay? And we can look to, again, change how it is that that athlete is reaccelerating based on how he or she stops. Okay, so then at that point in between the cones, I can also advise the athlete to re-accelerate differently. Okay, and these are all things that are cool to look at because they're often not happening when we just set up a bunch of cones and run a battery of athletes through those drills and those tasks without really focusing in on mastery. So you can probably see why this drill is one of mine that I utilize quite frequently in my toolbox, okay? And I would implore you to look at how it is that you can utilize it with your athletes as well. From general to specific to more specialized, this drill is something that I feel can be utilized with every level of qualification as well as numerous sport disciplines. So for Shawn, Myszka, this has been another quick tip. And for Movement Mastery and OptimizeMovement.com, till next time, Movement Masters, let's go out and get it, and let's all continue to master the art of optimizing movement.